This is NECO 2021 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 5. And the question reads, the table below shows the mass of logs of wood to nearest kilogram. This is the table, mass in kilogram, and you have the frequency, that is the number of logs of wood with that mass in between that class interval. So 3 logs of wood have mass in between 31 and 40 kilogram. 10 logs of wood have mass in between 41 and 50 kilogram. 15 logs of wood have mass in between 51 and 60 kilogram, like that. So the question asks is to find or calculate Roman 1 the mean and Roman 2 the mode. So let's attempt to answer this very question together. What we do first is to convert or transform the table into vertical format. So I'm changing this row into columns. So I'm going to have my mass like this, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60. Now in vertical format, I also copied the frequency 3, 10, 15. Also have it as column. So to answer this very first question, that is the mean. Mean, remember, means a summation of all the fx bar divided by summation f. So the x bar is what I'm going to get first. That x bar means class mid value. How I obtain the class mid value is by adding 31 and 40. That is for the very first class interval. 31 plus 40 divide the result by 2. So 31 plus 40 gives answer 71. 71 divided by 2 will now be 35.5. So the very first class mid value for the very first class interval is 35.5. Next class interval, it is mid value, will now be 41 plus 50, which will now be 91. And 91 divided by 2, that gives answer 45.5. Next class interval, 51 plus 60, that gives answer 111. And 111 divided by 2, that gives answer 55.5. I continue like that. If you did correctly, you have 65.5, 75.5, 85.5. This will now be the class mid values for each class interval. So next is to find what will now be each class interval multiplied by its respective frequency. That is a column for fx bar. So 35.5 multiplied by 3, that gives answer 106.5. 45.5, the x bar, multiplied by 10, the frequency, that gives answer 455. Next, 55.5 multiplied by the respective frequency 15, that gives 832.5. If we continue like that, you have 786, 453, and 342. So this is your fx bar. It is this fx bar that I'm going to add all together and divide by the summation of this f. That will give me the mean. So the summation of f correctly, that is 3 plus the 10 plus the 15 plus 12 plus 6 plus 4, that gives answer 50. And the summation of fx bar correctly, 106.5, 455. If you did correctly, that gives answer 2975. So you now substitute in the formula for finding mean, which now says summation fx bar all over summation f. So substituting it directly, summation fx bar is now 2975 divided by summation f, which is 50. So dividing 2975 by 50 correctly gives a result of 59.5 kilogram. This will now be the mean. So that answered the Roman 1 question. So we move to Roman 2. Roman 2, we asked to find the mode of this very distribution. The formula for finding the mode of a grouped data says mode equals to L plus open bracket. Inside the bracket, you have a fraction. The numerator of the fraction is says Fm minus F1 all over. Then the summation of two brackets, the very first bracket at the denominator level is Fm minus F1 plus the second bracket Fm minus F2, and close the bracket, and that bracket multiplied by H, where Fm is the frequency of the model class. In this case, the model class, the one with the highest frequency. The highest frequency count is 15. So this is the model class 55.5 to 60.5. So the frequency of that model class is now your Fm. And F1 will now be just the frequency of the class interval before the model class. In this case, the class interval before the model class is 40.5 to 50.5, and its corresponding frequency is 10. So this 10 will now be your F1, while F2 would now be the frequency of the class interval just after the model class. After the model class, the class interval will now be 60.5 to 70.5, and that frequency is now 12. So 12 will now be your F2, while L is the lower limit of your model class. The model class we said is 50.5 to 60.5, so its lower limit is 50.5. That will be your L. And the H will now be the width of the class interval. In this case, it is 10. So substituting correctly, your L by 50.5 plus inside the bracket Fm by 15, F1 by 10, all over 15 minus 10 plus 15 minus 12, close the bracket, and the bracket multiplied by H, which is now 10. So simplify what is in the inner bracket. 15 minus 10, that gives answer 5. These two brackets, 15 minus 10 gives this 5, and 15 minus 12, that gives answer this very 3. So 5 plus the 3, that gives answer 8. And 8 divided 5 by 8 and multiply the result by 10, that gives answer 6.25. And when you add 6.25 with this 50.5, you now have 56.75 as the mode of this distribution. So with this, we have answered this very question. Let me just share with you quickly the mark distribution for this very question as it is there in the marking scheme. So the very first mark is method 1 mark, and this method 1 mark is for your correct method of getting the class mid value. That gives you this method 1 mark, even mark. Next mark is summation of your fx bar. You have this method 1 mark, and when you add correctly to get 2975, you have this accuracy 1 mark. Next mark is substituting in the formula for finding mean, that is summation fx bar all over summation f correctly, so have this method 1 mark. And when you now have the mean exactly as 59.5, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So next mark is getting this boundary, that is the class boundary. You have this method 1 mark. And substituting correctly your fm, your f1, your f2, your h, and your l correctly, you have this method 1 mark. And when you now simplify and arrive at the final answer as 56.75 correctly, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So in total, if everything is done correct in this very question, you have 8 good marks.